Posey Gloves here, and today I'm going to approach resampling, but also just general render settings. You've watched this series, I'm assuming, and you are now armed with the knowledge to make very informed decisions. So let's say you've got a band coming in, and they're coming in, and they want like 192 at 50 bits, bit depth. They think it's a thing, and you have to explain to them why it just simply doesn't matter. Well, I'm not going to talk about that right now. I let you watch the series to figure that out if you haven't watched it, if you're just looking for render settings. But we can come over here, look at audio settings, sample rate. We know why we would choose this. It would influence our aliasing filter. Because our sample rate just simply extends our frequency range, our capabilities of recording, we could tell that band, freak, man, you're going nuts. And you explain the whole sample rate thing if they're that patient. And you might choose 88 too, simply because you want to go easier on your anti-aliasing filter and improve the chances of avoiding aliasing and phase problems. So you go with that. I'm going to leave it at 44.1, and you know that that's absolutely fine too. You might go 48 if you want just a slight buffer, but you're pretty much okay there. Now, something I haven't covered is resampling. This is similar to oversampling and has to do mostly with when you pitch stretch stuff. I'm not sure if this is a universal thing, but it's certainly a thing in FL Studios. So oversampling, we take a signal that's already been interpolated and we just add samples. And so the interpolation between the samples is already there. It's determined what the frequency and amplitude and all that junk is, so we don't need to worry about it. But when we're resampling something, meaning we're taking something like the pitch of it, we put additional sample points and then we stretch the sample points out or put them in. It's not as simple as simply taking that waveform and stretching it. It has to re-interpolate that data, and the way you interpolate that data gives you all your different time stretching options. As you can see here, I have resample, generic, mono, slice, stretch, match. I have all these different modes for time stretching this sample. If I want to make it lower in pitch or higher in pitch, everything is going to do this, but they'll give you these different modes. Well, here we can control the quality that's going on with the interpolation. Obviously 512 is going to give you the most accurate interpolation. It basically redetermines what should go in there after it's been stretched, which is why you need time for it to load. I know the new beta of FL12 actually has a real-time version of this. It's really cool. So that's the thing. I wonder what Ableton does, but just so you know, that's one of the challenges with time stretching things. So this is relative to that. So, okay, we figured this out. For whatever reason, maybe you explain that to the band. It's over. Who cares? Whatever. And you've got a separate audio interface like I do, so your processing is much faster. Quick tip: you want to plug the USB from your audio interface directly into the USB on your computer. You do not want to go into a USB bus. A USB bus checks the ports in a serial fashion. As a result, you might get hiccups and clicks because the data went missing for a second. It might work great for you if you have really high transfer rates, but a continuous stream is established, and this is mostly an issue with PCs, not really with Macs because they have FireWire, and FireWire is continuous. But if you plug it right into the USB on your computer, that's being continually streamed, and as a result, your audio will be much better if that's been an issue for you. So if we come over here, let's open up another FL just to be safe, and we go to export. Like, all right, we recorded our track. Great job, guys. Like, woo, yeah. Maybe you explained oversampling because you're a nerd while they were recording, who knows. So now you're going to bounce it, and you're like 16-bit or 24, and you're like, hey, it doesn't really matter. But you choose 24 because you were going to send it to a mastering engineer, and you just did the mix down. So you open up this menu, and you are now looking at WAV and MP3. You choose, whatever file type you want. And you look at the bit depth and you're like, oh, I want 24. Now 32-bit float. We didn't really talk about 32-bit float. We're not going to talk about it. Maybe I'll include it in another video later if I really feel like it's necessary. But you generally do want to be working in 32-bit float. It shifts the decimal. But there's a number of ways. Dithering becomes exceptionally important with 32-bit float. And the way it shifts the decimal is not as simple as just simply moving the decimal around. There's another step involved. But it allows you to record. It basically gives you a lot more precision with your signal, but it also means that you must use that amount of precision because if you don't, your math gets ended up summed wrong and all these weird problems happen. But 32-bit float is essentially like 24-bit float with more accuracy. So you choose you choose 24 because you know what you want to do. You have your MP3 bit rate, and you're going to choose, a high bit rate, similar. And you may not need as high a bit rate, but with an MP3, you generally just want the highest MP3 level you can get. Quick tip, if you generally want to export the MP3 from your DAW because it'll probably have a better setting. A better setting for rendering MP3s than if you were to let another system render it out. Like if I send it through like a video program to render out from a WAV file, their compression setting might work better with an already compressed MP3 file with all the compression already there. Because, well, when I say compressed, I mean data compressed, not like audio compression. And the reason that is because it's just a different quality converter, the different algorithm. More time and money has been spent on this one. So just so you know, that is a thing that I have noticed that I've had issues with this. So I've learned. I put MP3s, already rendered MP3s, into my programs because they will render their MP3s out better if it does not have to compress it from a WAV file, because their compression setting sucks. So anyways, you pick 16 or 24 based on, whatever you want to do. And maybe you want the MIDI because you're going to maybe move it to another DAW and you're thinking about adding another part, even though you want to send this to the mastering engineer. He's just being so indecisive. You understand what resampling is. Oh, you got this dithering thing. Oh yeah. We got an alias free thing going on over here. And we have some idea what these things are. These are settings that change per DAW. So I'm not going to cover them in great detail here, but you're pretty much all set. And all this was to show you was that you have learned enough through this series to be able to make these decisions. That's what I wanted you to be able to make, was those decisions. If you open up this over here, you can see you have oversampling capabilities in your option here. If you open up a wave shaper, you'll see that there's an oversampling thing similar so that you can fix high frequency content if that's an issue. And I mean, you're good to go. You know quite a bit about digital audio. Feel pretty good about what you're doing here. So you can hopefully avoid these things. If something goes wrong, you can know more intuitively, what that could be. I know I didn't cover things like reconstruction filters. Maybe one day I'll give brief videos. I'm hoping one day to do an advanced series where I cover everything. But it's not on my list right now as far as things that I think are in demand. So I'm not going to be putting it out. I'm going to focus more on synthesis stuff. But this needed to exist because these fundamental pieces of knowledge, I had to know that this was out there so that you guys, when I reference stuff, I could send you somewhere. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe and have a blessed day.
Opposing wolves. Reversing.